Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Yeyet kusmiyati from the basic class. Here I will explain the material about education in post-pandemic era. Let's see the explanation. In the context of education, whether we realize it or not, the new normal has begun to occur globally since the COVID-19 pandemic. Teaching and learning activities that are usually carried out face-to-face directly, namely educators and students are physically present in classroom and learning places, are now being replaced with learning activities through electronic media. E-learning either synchronously or directly synchronous. Non-synchronously, e-learning can be done both online and offline. In online learning, educators and students are at the same time in the same application or internet platform and can interact with each other like conventional learning has been done so far. Meanwhile, in offline learning, educators upload material via the web, send it via electronic mail, or upload it via social media, so that it can then be downloaded by students. Offline students learn independently without being bound by time and place. On the other hand, synchronous e-learning can only occur online. Although in reality, e-learning teaching and learning activities have been carried out by several universities for a long time. This way of learning is awareness of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 era, an era that brought changes to the way humans work, interact, transact. From an educational perspective, the general term used by educational theorists as an implication of Industrial Revolution 4.0 is Education 4.0 to describe various ways to integrate technology in the Industrial Revolution 4.0 era, both physically and not into learning. Education 4.0 is an innovation in the world of education in the Industrial Revolution 4.0 era, which is an answer to the question, can we do it? Education 4.0 can be seen as a creative response where humans use digital technology, open source context, and global classroom in the application of lifelong learning, flexible education system, and personalized learning to play a better role in the midst of in the community. On the other hand, the new normal of e-learning is not an answer to a question but an adaptation of a condition that everyone is forced to do, since the issuance and school letter number 3,006,962,000 or MPKA or HK or 2020 dated March 17, 2020 by the Minister of Education and Culture and enacted a few days later. All teaching and learning activities both in schools and campus have been carried out online as an effort to prevent the development and spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. No one can predict when the COVID-19 pandemic will end. However, after the COVID-19 pandemic later, the new normal education that has begun should be continued and refined until it meets the concept of blended learning, which is an educational concept that combines face-to-face lecture methods in the classroom with e-learning, so that in the turn the world of education will really in the era of education 4.0 regarding e-learning in universities. If the measurement is can be done, then it cannot be denied that all campuses can do it. However, Can the quality of the e-learning be fulfilled as desired? Of course, it will be difficult to answer because in this case, it involves many factors, requires the involvement of various parties, and must be prepared as well as possible. At this point, the author argues there are at least six important things that should be a concern of a university in preparing e-learning as described below. The first, lecturers and students must improve their internet and computer literacy skill. At the very least, lecturers must be able to take advantage of available channels, such as the learning management system, audio, video-based communication media, social media, and data storage media that can be used to access quality teaching and learning activities. In general, student internet and computer literacy skills are better than those of lecturers, so that what is taken into consideration from the student side is internet connection, especially in remote, leading and disadvantaged areas, and some students may be burned by using data packages. Achievement of the three components of outcomes-based education (OBE), namely the first learning outcomes, two learning activities, and three assessment methods that have been prepared in the semester learning plan. RPS. The RPS does not need to be changed completely, but it is now to redetermine which learning outcomes can be delivered by e-learning and which ones cannot. Because not all learning outcomes can be met by implementing e-learning such as hands-on skills, especially in the program vocational study program. Next, remapping learning outcomes to learning activities, including determining the appropriate assessment method for each learning achievement. The third, lecturers must ensure the readiness of lecture material with an independent learning perspective in a digital format in such a way that students can easily understand the lecture material, especially if it is given offline for a general subject, basic skill, and applied knowledge. The delivery of lecture material in the form of lecture summaries should be avoided. It will be more appropriate of the lecturer provided lecture notes using open source simulation software or audio video recordings, practical lecture material using the toolbox. Lecturers are expected to prepare a tutorial recording for students to study independently. Therefore, determine the duration of each learning unit. The duration of learning is closely related to the student learning load, student learning time, or SLT, which is determined by the number of credit units taken by a student. For online learning, pay attention to coherent time according to the student level of self-regulation and metacognitive abilities. Determining the duration of each learning unit is very important, especially in giving assignment to students. Time-consuming assignment can make the student's study load much higher than the credit load he takes. The five, assessment in the form of quizzes and other independent assessment must be planned in such a way that the quality of the questions still meets the taxonomy level in accordance with the level of the study program. Formative and summative exams should still be carried out directly and on schedule basis, as is the conventional method that has been practiced so far. The last, the campus must prepare sufficient infrastructure and bandwidth if using the campus network. A sudden surge in users and simultaneous usage will cause the server to panic, hang, and down. In addition, the campus must determine the application or platform used to prevent students from downloading and trying too many applications or platforms. Of course, universities are not solely focused on the six things described above. However, at least it can be a first step for universities when completing e-learning in implementing blended learning in order to realize education for zero, which will become the new normal in the industrial revolution for zero era after the COVID-19 pandemic later. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.